Well, hello, this is Linda Carbonell and my co-host Mary Adams from Life School 101. We have a pretty good show, a show about CATV and funding and the crisis that's going on. And I'd like to introduce all of you to Donna Girot, the Executive Director of CATV.
Hi, everyone.
So, Donna, I know I'd like to start out a little bit about what is the crisis, what is going on with the FCC?
There are so many crises.
Yeah.
But most specifically, with this new federal administration, the FCC, which is the Federal Communication Commission, they're responsible for regulating all forms of communication, both interstate and us going out internationally. So what they've decided to do, well, first they got rid of net neutrality, but after that they've decided that they want to change a rule that would permit cable companies to charge back for anything they do with public access television. So, which is sort of against the Cable Act. The Cable Act's intent was to say, hey, cable company, you can have this monopoly or partial monopoly, and in exchange for the public good, you provide this airway, you provide a certain amount of support. And so it was for the good of the people that these TV stations were set up all around the country, and they survive off of what they call franchise fees, which is a small tax. So if the cable companies have the option to charge back what they want, they basically could strip all our funding. So it's sort of contrary to what one of the FCC's goals is to support the people, but the current FCC thinks of people just as consumers of telecommunications. So it's an interesting problem.
And that's not the only problem, though, I'm sure.
No, there's many problems. One of them is that cable companies don't permit public access to participate in that electronic guide. So when you're surfing for your television program, you can't see a local program title come up. And so in the state of Vermont, each state is handled differently, but in the state of Vermont, the cable companies are answerable to the Public Utilities Commission and the PUC, as opposed to being accountable to the franchise authorities, which are individual municipalities in other towns, in other states. I'm sorry, it can go on forever. But anyway, Comcast is trying to sue the state of Vermont because we have asked them to participate in the electronic guide.
So I had another question connected to that, too. I know that getting money from the different towns and stuff is quite hard, too. And I wanted to talk about that a little bit. So what is it that the town can do to support CATV?
So it's interesting. CATV is one of the few, actually it's supposed to be the only one in the country, but I imagine it isn't, that serves 2 states. And the 2 states couldn't be more different. So we're in a unique position where, as I said, cable is answerable to the state in Vermont, and cable is answerable to each town. They have a contract with each large town that's cabled in New Hampshire. So completely different. So lots of contracts going around. So I have to go to each town in New Hampshire and beg for money each year. Is my service. We're an outside agency, and so they receive funding, the franchise fees, and they get to decide what they want to do with it. And they might not want to support the TV station. We have that case right now where one of the towns has been paying us the same amount for 10 years because they want to spend the money differently. So it's all about, of course, costs go up in 10 years.
Yeah.
So, that's a bit of a rub right now for us. And yet we have another community who fully values what we do and supports us fully as well as they can. On the Vermont side, if our funding dwindles, which we're seeing already, we have to then go to the towns who have basically had a free ride.
Yep.
So we've gone to towns, and now we're going to have to act like a nonprofit, like all nonprofits, and spend more of our time fundraising instead of actually, supporting its TV station and supporting the community.
Do you want to jump in and talk about the fundraising, Mary?
Well, I sure do. And Donna, I think for many of us, it's quite a complicated subject. It's something that is quite hard to understand. And to simplify that for people out there, this show right here goes out. This last week, our page on Facebook went to 488,000 post views. It's going out globally. So we're not talking about just a small TV station in Vermont, New Hampshire. We're talking about a station that's creating programming that's changing people's lives day after day, that is being squeezed by the system. And this is such important programming, everything that CATV is putting out. And so I think it really comes down to, how do we work together to create those opportunities for this TV station and to keep things moving forward? That's my question to you, Donna. What do you see is the need right here for CATV, but also in the change and how to change this from happening so this does not happen? What do we need to do to speak up?
It's interesting. We're right on. We have done things where we go forward with the FCC and give our opinion. Okay, so now they probably are about June, they're going to make a ruling. So there is a committee in the House who's supposed to oversee the FCC because the government is closed right now. We don't know who's on that committee yet. So it's not, their website hasn't been updated. So again, we can't take any actionable steps, but the idea is that that everyone communicate to this committee and to your representatives and say, hey, PEG stations, which are public education and government stations, are the stations of the people. And if you value your rights, that you want to make a little effort and talk to your representative of how you don't want that defunded.
Yeah. And also having Life School and Walk Into Life having a talent contest for CATV, I think has been a great idea. And I know, Mary, you and I both talked about that. But what I want to get to with Donna is what are the services that we're looking to lose?
That's important because
Yes.
We're just an example of hundreds of stations across the country. So we're the people's station. So what we do is we train people how to use video and audio equipment. We loan it as a free lending library, just like you would borrow a book. We teach people how to edit their footage. We've been criticized and said, oh, well, YouTube exists now, and why can't I just put my show on YouTube? It's fine, but there's lots of people who don't know how to do that. They don't know how to edit their pieces. They don't know how to understand anything about digital management. So they want to affect something, but they don't have the skills to do it. And so by us training people and helping people, it empowers them. We're a station all about empowerment. We also have in-studio shows, and Linda, your shows actually test us electronically because you always come in with a new idea, and we have to say, oh, can we do this with what little equipment we have? So it's always super interesting when you have an idea. So these are all available to the community. Schools come in and they ask us to teach their kids. They'll come for a week or come for a day, and basically helping that next generation. So it's all about empowering people and making sure that they have like economic sustainability, that they have job skills to be able to work in the 21st century.
And also government meetings. You have.
Oh yeah,
we cover sports or concerts or events.
Probably the most boring thing we do is the most important. We are your eyes, so you don't have to worry about what's going on in your local government meeting. Because what we feel like is if the people are watching, it compels ethical governance. So let's say there's a problem in your town with the water suddenly. Looking at the last 5 council meetings or the council meeting decision from 3 years ago becomes very important. I've been in a situation where lawsuits were solved, construction lawsuits were solved because we had filmed government meetings and decisions were made in those meetings. We are the primary source for reporters. Reporters are always calling and saying, when's that show going to be up? Because I didn't go to the meeting, but I have to report about it. We have town clerks who call and say, well, not town clerks, but meeting clerks who call and say, we need to confirm facts for our agenda or for our meeting minutes. So we're basically a primary source. That also we stop fights on Facebook. Frequently people will be debating an issue, and there's usually somebody who will say, well, wait a second, you're wrong, and here's the actual meeting. So it stops word of mouth frothing. You know, it ends up creating community coherence.
I had one other question, and I'm going to let Mary ask you about staff and stuff. How much, ideally, would it cost a year to really run CATV, fund it too?
Our studio is different from others, obviously. Mm-hmm. Our rent is high because we're in sort of a funky hub area, whereas other stations who are in the middle of nowhere would have it cost less money. So the station itself, though, if I'm running it well, it's about $475,000 a year just to run the station. What we have now is about $450,000. So when you have a shortfall of like $25,000 a year, it hurts because the equipment, you just can't keep up with any of the technical changes.
Yeah, because the equipment goes bad quick. And
because we lend it out, people beat it up, and we could always use equipment. Anyone want to send us a gift card to B&H or any of the other, Amazon, we'll take it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So Mary, are you curious about staff?
Well, I am. So how does CATV run and who runs it?
Well, we have a very small team of 5 people full-time who run it. Everyone has at least 3 hats. So one of our staff runs the in-studio and the education program. So any individual one-on-one training, which of course we provide for free. We have another person who is our community videographer. She outreaches to the community, and people are constantly calling and asking if we can film their event. And by filming community events, not only are we helping people stay connected who are who like work during the day and can't see an event that happened. We also are creating sort of capturing community history. So what we're filming now will be a few generations from now's historical artifacts, archives. We also have somebody who deals with all the government meetings, all the scheduling, making sure the equipment's working, and technical problems in the studio. And then we have another person who not only is our designer to designs posters, and because we have film competitions, but also does all the scheduling. And she's got the best job because she gets to watch TV for a living. So she watches shows and figures out where the appropriate time to schedule those shows are, as well as sharing shows with other stations. So we have a network between New Hampshire and Vermont where we share relevant shows. It's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And then there's me. I just, I pay the bills.
And then volunteer producers, you know, that come in for government meetings.
We have a volunteer crew, of course. Not as big as we want it to be, but it'll get there.
Yeah, and poor Chico has to put up with me and Mary all the time, doesn't he?
Chico does a good job.
Yeah, he does.
Don't tell him because he'll want a raise.
Well, hey.
Yeah, can't afford
Not
it.
yet. Gotta wait till we get some funding.
Can't afford it.
So, Mary, did you have any other questions for Donna at the moment?
Well, I'm just blown away that such a small team is able to produce such amazing shows and put all of this together. And I know for myself, I have so much gratitude, and I can't wait to jump in. I can't wait to do my part. And it's because these shows are so very important. So Donna, what is the answer? What do we need to do to create solutions here?
We're going to have to come back and tell you what those solutions are, because we're in the whole industry. We're scratching our heads right now. We've alerted all the municipalities, and we've alerted the state governments and everyone. As a matter of fact, I think the Dems in the House now are. I know they're doing some oversight to see what's appropriate and inappropriate, because the bottom line is a PEG access station is sort of a litmus test of how well our democracy is working. So it's something that there's more coming down the road, and I'd love to keep you updated.
Yeah, that's what I was telling her. I think we should do at least a second show, maybe, because you can't cram everything in a half hour. Plus, we have time to, really process it.
Well, we're sort of floating in the middle.
Yeah.
The FCC does something that they call the rocket docket, which basically is they're trying to speed along these deregulations so that everything's deregulated before the end of these 4 years, which can basically step on people's toes. In other words, it's big business benefits, and the people don't necessarily benefit. So we'll see what happens.
Another point that I want to give real quick is, if you are able to donate to CATV, you can go to their websites directly. Go to www.catv8.org. They take credit cards. They work through PayPal.
We're becoming a real nonprofit now.
I know, and then you can send. You could send a check into CATV too, right?
Right, but if somebody is attached to their local public access
Yes.
TV station, just know that it needs your financial support.
Yeah, for sure. Mary, did you have anything else that you would like to ask Donna before we wrap up?
Well, Donna, I just want to thank you again for everything that you do and for giving us all the opportunity to not only watch the shows that are produced on CATV, but the community events, the way that you bring everyone together. That really means something. And so I can't thank you enough. And I can't wait to roll up my sleeves and jump in and help. And I want to ask everybody out there, if our shows impact your life, if it's helped you, if it's giving you information or brought you in a new direction, even if you have $5, donate to CATV so our shows can keep going and all of the great shows on CATV can keep going on. So that's what I want to say. And thank you. And thank you, Chico. Chico, you're the man behind the scenes. And I can't wait to do a show with you, because I know that there's this really cool side of you haven't shared with us yet. And so, Chico, thank you for everything that you do and everything that you have done, not only for CATV, but especially for Linda and I, because without you, this just wouldn't be happening. So.
Yeah, and we have some great laughs too. Donna,
We do.
Would you like to give a message of hope to the community and all that?
A message of hope. Hey, I hope you have a nice day. There's my message of hope.
That's a message of hope, huh?
Yeah. I'm sure that I just want people to realize that you have an asset, you have something that helps you basically grow democracy. And it's a very simple tool. That's public access television. And that not to be confused with, there's different levels. There's the grassroots level, which is like CATV and all the other PEG stations, and then you have state TV stations, public access as
Yeah.
well. So I think it's the grassroots ones who need your help right now.
Yeah, we do for sure. I say we just because this is my family, so I love you guys very, very much. You keep my happiness going by allowing me to do the
Cool.
things that I want to do. And freedom of speech is so important. I mean, the stuff that we're able to talk about, we feel is very important for people to know about. You know, and I'm
Absolutely.
sure everybody that's interested in producing their own show feels the same way. And CATV's phone number is 802-295-6688.
My little girl, well, she means everything to me. She can lift me up, take me down. She can see inside of me, and I'm all rolled up inside her little arms tonight. There's no other place I'd rather be.